We live in interesting times, very interesting times, where in this time and age, the definition of marriage has been so distorted that to a point you even don't know what's going on. Families are not the way God had ordained it. Now it is whatever you feel like, feels like. And the beauty about scripture, it has shown us many examples what happens when families are within the line or when they're separate or when they move away. If you look at the life of Jacob, we can see the dangers of having a second companion and the dangers that come along that path. We see in the time of Abraham with Sarah and Hagar. And as we continue through scripture, we can see quite many examples of what happens when we don't have the family in a nuclear with just one man, one woman, and their children. And we also get to see when children choose to be rebellious. From the beginning, when you look at Cain and Abel, later on we see Jacob and Esau. And you see that even when the two families, Jacob and Esau, for them, they're not there, but their bloodline still continues. This is no different from what it is in the world. And right now, nowadays, you have to be very keen and careful. With social media, people can take all these photos, look like as a family. But many people are living very quote unquote families or marriages that are not really what you think it is. For example, there are families that are someone would say they just want to settle down, they have all the money and everything, and they're looking for a woman, or vice versa. But let's put it first for the man looking for the women. But you don't know the kind of lifestyle, how that person acquires the money, yada yada yada. You get into a marriage and they tell you, you know what, to keep it on a hush hush. Here, this is how I live. There are things I do that if you ever spill the beans, you will see me in my true colors. And there are things I indulge in that will not be acceptable by society, but this is what it is. Yours is to enjoy the money, keep your mouth shut. Or if you talk too much, there are other ways to handle it. And that is why there's some people whom you will hear them, they've come, they found this person, then poof, silent. Or in other marriages where both couples, both couples are playing both sides. Same, they're playing within, I'm looking for better, the same sex each, but because of the society or the environment they are under, they just come together and say, let's have an heterosexual kind of marriage, a one man, one woman, just as an imagery that we are a family, because maybe their families don't accept their kind of lifestyle. And a child is born out of it, but each partner can still continue with their other life. I came to learn today, it's called lavender. So I heard about it, but I never even knew about the name. Anyway, these are things. Or we have the swingers, where two couples are now deciding, you know what, I want to taste the fruit, I want to taste the fruit. So instead of us going to strangers, let's find another couple where we can be able to taste the fruits from. So husband and wife go to another husband and wife, and each one is tasting each other's fruit. And they believe now they have found their touch of youth. However, as most cases go, once they cross that line, two couples, among these two, among now from the different families start thinking, I can continue tasting this fruit outside the restrictions. There's another one where couples will go to a place. I've heard about it a lot actually, where they'll go to a place, let's say it's like a massage parlor kind of, or like a hotel, just a simple resort. However, it's a resort where many other couples go to. So everybody think they're just going to a resort to enjoy. But in that resort, everyone comes with someone. How is it? You leave your car key, you leave your car key at the reception, and then you go to a room, and then I think it's the spouses or the men, I don't remember which is which. They have to go to where so for them to know who they're going with, I don't know how that process all works. But eventually, the ladies will, or the ladies or the men, I don't know which is which, will go and look for the owners of that particular car, then they be directed. So ideally, instead of now even knowing who you are swinging with, you will choose from the selection of the keys. Something also I've had, it's now been a while now. You have that. You have then the incestuous ones, whereby you get to see a family, you think they are okay, but you come to realize this child is a child of uncle or an aunt, and incestuous. So as you go down this rabbit hole, you start realizing, okay, it's alarming. Okay, people will always say it's none of your business. Fine, good for them, depending on what you believe in. If you're a Christian like me, then you'll have a different belief system. And again, everyone want to do what you want to do, whatever. Now, where it comes dangerous is to the individuals who are not privy to such information, and you are impressed by, let's say, a particular lifestyle. Maybe they're not so splashing all over the place, and you say, I would like to visit so and so, or I like to so and so, I like to go to so and so, and you go to these homes, and you get to see things, or you get to be told, now you are here, maybe you're there for like a week or 2 days, and they tell you, we are going to indulge in some things with you, and you're going to keep it on the hush hush. Should you choose to go another way, we also have a method for you to keep you hushed. And so things happen to these individuals and it's kaput. Or the saddest ones is the children. Children going for, what is called, sleepovers. Children go to sleepover. You've seen a particular relative or a friend in church or at work. Say, hey, you guys can come over home, come, let's just have eat and dine together. Everything is okay until we normally call it the unholy hour. I mean, from 12. And then they start say, hey, there's an arrangement here. We like to do things in a particular way. And before you know it, maybe the partner you went with knew that, or both of you are clueless. But where now you're already compromised. Maybe it's a far distant place you went. Now you can't run. And so you have only two options: indulge or suffer the consequences of that invitation. That means your life will be dragged, your family will be dragged down. There could be even execution, depending on the extreme of this other couple that you've met. And again, it's in the world that we're living in. And that's you have to be very careful. We get to hear many cases of either kids being SA'd by their relatives, friends when they went to these events, or parents when you go to this cousin event, family event, reunion, only not to realize that among you, you have many PDF files around you. And that's on both sides. We always look at PDF from the male side and always forget the female side of it. So either both parties. And a child is said, and that story is kept under the wraps. And families have secrets of secrets of secrets and secrets. And that's why sometimes you say that these things never used to happen in those days, in our grandparents and our parents. Actually, they did. These things have been happening. However, they were not exposed, or they were not celebrated or justified. The same nonsense we are seeing today happened in our parents, happened in our grandparents' days. However, there was no technology that would expose, where people would be able to use the social media platforms and share their findings or their confessions or whatever it is to say, hey, these things have been happening. It's only that nobody knows about. And that's why you should be very, very careful with every invitation, whether it's a church invitation, whether it's a family invitation, whether it's a company invitation, whatever invitation you get, pray about it and discern. The times are evil. If you look at scripture, the world was destroyed in the times of flood because the hearts of men were bent on wicked. Their hearts, their actions would have looked okay. You see, if someone has a bad heart, does not mean it to reciprocate to their action. Now, the action can be fine. They could be doing all the good things, but their heart is bent on wickedness. So be very careful and discern the times that you are living in. You can't live just haywire. You can't just do things for the sake of doing. Pray and discern. The times are evil, and people won't stop. The scriptures told us, and even as you can see right now in life, people are getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So how are you protecting yourself and your loved ones from the times you are living in? Discern the times. Do not underestimate anyone. Be careful. Because people know how to put on the mask to fit. For example, if it's a rainy place and where you live is a muddy area and you're going to the city, will you go with your gumboots to the city? And let's say you're going to an office or meeting or whatever it may be. No. If you had gumboots from home, you will go and put them in a particular place, and then you will go and now wear the cloth that will fit in that society. And that's the thing people keep forgetting. When you are in society, when you're in a place where people are, we put on clothes that fit in that environment. Because if you're to go in your original, people will run away. For example, if you want to go in a place whereby they live in a traditional way, where, their private areas kind of exposed and all that, um, but they can't go to a city in that same dressing, because now people start thinking, are you barbaric? Are you uncivilized? What's going on? Because the culture of an environment defines the setup of that place. A particular culture will be able to show you how you're supposed to live in a particular area. That culture always dictates. If you go live in a neighborhood, there's ways people live. There are conversations that are amicable in that environment. You just can't go with your slang and everything. You have to know how to be able to speak when you go to such an environment. So it's always vital for you to be able to understand where you live. And that in culture, people will put on masks and faces to fit in. The question is, who are these people behind all the closed doors? Who are these people when they are doing the things they are doing? Are people saying who they really are? Because you don't know anyone. You don't know the heart of anyone. You hope you do, but you really don't. You hope you understand, but you really don't. And you have to be very careful and cautious of the lives that you live and the choices that you make. And so eventually, you don't know anyone. If you go to an office, there are things, if you are to speak from your heart, you get fired. There's that boss who's on your neck, or that colleague is on your neck. If you're to speak the way you want to speak, you're going to lose your job. A snap of a finger. However, you're going to smile. Within the service industry or whichever industry, or we deal with any clientele, those clientele, they are very rude, they're very vulgar. You just have to put it the smile. Welcome. Be good. Because you know very well, if you are to bring out the you will cause a lot of damage. Physical, verbal, and emotional damage to whoever has been pressing you down. So you put on this mask, you put on this smile, but you know very well everything's fake. When you go to a bank and you're applying for a loan, or any microfinance and you're applying for a loan, the lady or the gentleman who helps you sign off these documents, when you see them, even their appearance, they're good, they have the face, they are convincing power, the delivery is good. But the person who comes to chase you, the debt collector, man, they don't care. Even the physique, even the face, you're like, okay, they're scary, and they're violent, and they have no issue throwing out of from a roof. All they care is that they repossess what's to be repossessed. Now, keeping that in mind on those few areas, if we are not who we say we are, where we say we are, then who are we? Because it's like going to a shelf and trying to open the drawers. You have the first, second, third drawer. So that means you go into drawer 1 and pick an item. Go to drawer 2, pick an item. So the question is, which drawers are you always picking? Are you who you say you are? So having that in mind, you should be very careful of the times we're living in. The times are wicked. And I'm sorry, nobody's going to stop. People won't stop being wicked because you pray. People will stop being wicked because you give too much or because you're nice. No, people will continue. Actually, they'll add the extension of wickedness. We are living at a very crazy times where you take a child to a daycare, only to come to realize that that daycare is being used as a center for children to be essayed, or they're forced to do it on each other, and then is sent to another uh, depraved individual who likes such type of content. Or teachers who are involved doing things that are off, but now your child is a clientele to another area, and you don't know. You drop your child on time. Right now, if you look at where we are in society, you must be careful. You can't trust anyone just because they speak well. Everything, do your due diligence. It's like a politician. You know a politician is going to give you all a pack of lies. So why are you surprised when he doesn't do the delivery? If a politician has a track record of lies and deceit, why are you surprised if they never deliver? They told you from the beginning, I'm a liar. They told you, I never speak the truth. I'm deceitful. They showed you in their track record. So why are you anticipating that when they get into power, they'll change? The fruit, we shall know something by the fruit it removes. I can only know an avocado tree if it produces an avocado. I will only know a mango tree when I see it produces a mango. I'll be able to confirm this an orange tree when I see it produce an orange. So if someone has a track record of lies, why are you then surprised with the fruits being lies? If someone has a history of execution, why are you surprised when you see execution? Their actions are a fruit of the tree that they represent. So if someone has a tree of lies, anticipate lies. Tree of infidelity, anticipate. There's always this lie where people say, I'll be able to change. You can't change a human being. You are born from your mother's womb, them from their mother's womb. They have their DNA, you have your DNA. And then by the time you guys met, you have like 10, 15 years apart, or depending, where each one had their own experience with the families that they grew under. And there's all these many people have met. So how do you know someone? Even in the dating, even if you choose to get into a relationship, this person you're meeting, before they met you, they met other people. The other people they fell in love, may not have fallen in love, liked, did not. You don't know the person. You are learning and hoping you do know, but really don't know. And you'll get to know them now when you're together. Now is when they can now be their real selves. And that's the scary part, because now you really don't know who's this person. And once they know that you're together, then they do what they want to do. So pray. The times are evil and the times are dark. And people will do anything and everything to survive. And they don't care the repercussions. We are living at a time whereby someone will say, where people are celebrating to see other people lose their life. Someone will say, why were you in this area where there's a weather issue? You should have moved. Maybe the person you're talking to maybe had tried it, but now they have no way to get to the other place, so they go caught up. Or there is a war and they're saying, why did you not get there? You could have, flown out and everything. Maybe they where they were, they don't have that access. And your government is giving so many pack of lies that now the real people who are going through the ordeal are being silenced and their issues are being suppressed. The thing is, you don't know what people are going through. And that makes you never understand the psychotic or the sociopathic part of any individual. You will meet someone who's very okay, whether it's a colleague, whether it's a relationship. They're very good, everything. Until something happens, it brings up a trigger and they start acting in ways that leave you thinking, did I really know this person? Because you really don't. Cain and Abel were raised in the same way, their children, right? But Cain chose to take out Abel. There are things you can't be able to comprehend because they're beyond us. And because we don't know, we leave it to God. So we live in very dark and evil times. Do not underestimate the person next to you. So you're saying you're married and together. Before you got married, when either you dated or before, between when they were young, 5 years and above, do you really know the true story of what they endured? You don't know. And one thing people never understand is there's so many. How many men are fathering children that are not theirs? And they come to learn it in hospital, in their deathbed, or into conversations that were not related to that conversation, and in places and from sources they would not have anticipated. Then they learn they were never the parents. How many people have gotten married into marriages where now they realize they have to serve serpents, they have to serve funny animals, funny creatures. Others have to go and rest in graveyards. How many? How many have found themselves in marriages whereby they're told, now here is a swingers party. Your body is not yours. Your body is to go out there. How many ladies and men have found themselves into trafficking because the person they were with was a partner, but now told them, now I need you to do ABCD for me, and kept them, or even placed them in a situation where they're milking them. Now they're acting as their pimps. How many? Many. So you don't know anyone. Anyone, you don't know them. When people are going through trauma, when people are going through abuse, when people are going through all these hardships, it changes someone. Very few will be able to accept to be under the submission of God. Many will not. These many that we know, even that one who will accept, they're still humans. David walked with God, but he took out the life of Uriah. Yet, he loved God very much. You don't know anyone. You hope you do, but you don't. So treat everyone and every situation with a pinch of salt. Discern and pray and pray and pray. For the times we are living in are very wicked. And it won't stop because you pray 100%. You may be covered and the people you pray for, but it doesn't mean the wickedness will stop. So these times we are living in, don't underestimate it. The times are very wicked, and hearts of men are bent on wickedness. It was that hearts of men bent on wickedness that led to the flood. It was not like anything else, their hearts. You don't know anyone. So be very careful. Don't just invite people. Don't just go anywhere. Discern the times we are living in. For the times we are living in are wicked, and the hearts of men and women are wicked. You don't know anybody because everybody has a face. If everyone was to show their true colors, no one will survive. If everyone was to act the way they wanted, no one will survive. That's why we have laws, rules, and regulations that govern communities and nations. If we are to remove that and we say, hey, let's behave the way we want, let's do whatever we want, no rules, all these laws, cut them loose, let's just do whatever we want, you will have no community, no nation, no family. It will be total purge. So because people have to be controlled through the laws, the rules, and the regulation, you must be very careful, because that means just because someone avoided to end up in prison or in any of this situation does not mean that in their heart they are not planning it. How many times have situations happened where you're thinking, if I do this, I will ABCD, this, I will crash, and then you realize, well, the repercussions of all that will be jail term. So many things will go sideways. And then you're like, yeah, I think I should not even go down that path. You understand? When intrusive thoughts take over and you start thinking, maybe I can do this. No. Our hearts are very wicked. We should be very careful. Submit to God, surrender to Him, let Him guide you. Because the times we are living in are wicked, and the hearts of men shall become wicked, cold. And just because people will feel entitled to take what's not theirs, and they'll ask you, so what? Pray, discern, and understand the times we're living in. May God guide us all.